Hey guys, it's a very windy day here in Lone Oak, Arkansas, as I try to make my way back to Oklahoma. But I'll upload some more videos from the Washington D.C. zombie march against our rights, and it literally was. It felt like I was on the set of The Walking Dead. These people were so checked out, and in a sense it was funny, and in another sense it's kind of startling and terrifying to know that this generation that's growing up is marching to take away their own stinking rights. You know the old saying, if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. These people do not understand that the socialists and the communists of the past who've disarmed their citizens destroyed them. I was reading yesterday that Mao Zedong destroyed over 80 million of his own people. Stalin, like 20 or 30 million. How many did Hitler kill? I don't know, but the point is, when they disarm the people, they become powerless and they cannot resist a tyrannical government, which was the whole spirit of the Second Amendment. Had nothing to do with hunting and had everything to do with protecting yourself from a tyrannical government. Now, personally, I don't think we need the Second Amendment. All we need is common sense. Every individual who's born, I don't care if you're American, Cuban, Russian, it doesn't matter. You have a right to defend yourself and your family by any means necessary, and you don't need something written down on a fancy piece of paper. I agree with the Second Amendment. Everybody has a right to keep and bear arms, but remember, it's still an amendment. It can be amended. It can be altered. It can be changed. It can be completely done away with. And then what do you have? Oh, that amendment we used to have, I guess we don't have rights anymore. Bull crap. Doesn't matter what's written down. You have a right to defend yourself. You have a right to have an AR-15. If you can afford it and you want a tank in your front yard, you should be able to have it. It says shall not be infringed. That means no background checks, no regulations, no gun control, none of that stuff. You have a right to defend yourself. Anyway, I'm rambling on, but I've been noticing in the last week or two that CNN has tried to put a veneer of true journalism on, and they're becoming very deceptive. I don't trust it for a second, but in one sense it's a little bit refreshing. Matter of fact, in this video right here, I can't remember what it's called, something like students spar over gun control. One of those kids, I think his name is Jake or Jacob, you're gonna hear him in a second. He's got some good stuff coming out of his mouth. He is not for background checks. He's not for negotiating individual rights, and that's where we should all be. There's a quote that I read one time. It said, the smallest minority on the planet is the individual. Think about that. It doesn't matter about the color of your skin. Are you an individual? Then you're the smallest minority. Am I an individual? Then I'm the smallest minority. And if we're for minorities, then we're for individual rights. So I'm going to play a couple of these clips. I will upload some more of the March for Our Lives interviews. I've got a ton of content. I've just got to parse through it. And I've been on the road trying to do this on my laptop while my girlfriend's driving, and it's kind of difficult because sometimes we're in signal, sometimes we're out of signal. Anyway, check this out from CNN. Leave your comments, let me know what you think. If you enjoy this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button, give it a like, and share it with everybody you know.
How many of you plan to vote in the 2020 election? Okay, has the gun issue changed how you think you will vote? Show of hands. It has. Okay, so Kirsten, how's it changed for you?
I now look for that issue, and it's important to me to feel safe in my school, and whether or not they think it's important for me to feel safe in my school is how I will vote.
Now, this statement presupposes that politicians who parasitically live off the forced theft of the people called taxation are worthy of any of us giving a rat's ass what they think. Politicians are narcissistic, power-grabbing liars that deserve to be shunned by humanity, and the fact that we as a supposed advanced civilization even give ear to them is alarming.
I think after this whole thing, we're going to be looking out for how they stand on the gun control issue, and that's definitely going to change the way I vote.
Let's modify that and call it what it is. This is not a gun control issue, it's a people control issue. Using misnomers misleads people into making very bad decisions.
You and Julia were at Parkland when this massacre happened. So has that day changed your outlook on things?
Parkland's kind of wrapped in a nice little bubble, and after that shooting, the bubble popped. We don't feel safe anymore. Even at the march on Saturday, I was looking up and the buildings were really tall, and I was wondering, could a shooter shoot down from there?
This is interesting because I thought the same thing when I was there. What a perfect opportunity to pick off as many disarmed fish in a barrel as you'd like before your ammo runs out.
It feels the same way for me. The one town and the one place that you felt you could never be harmed, that's when your life was at risk. You just think you want no other student to have to experience that ever again.
And wouldn't the natural response for a rational human being be, holy crap, I need to arm and train myself to be ready just in case this ever happens again? But their response is, please help us, our beloved and wise political overlords. This is insanity.
There's a lot better ways to protect our schools and to protect our public areas than just to take away all of the guns.
What he said is true, but later this kid starts stumping for smarter gun control laws and better background checks.
So how many of you, show of hands, think that there should be more armed guards in schools to protect them?
Like, okay, partially, but I also think that to an extent, if you put all of these extra guards, it's going to feel like a prison.
The stupidity of this statement needs no comment.
How do you think you stop someone shooting people? If everyday citizens have the right to carry, could have been stopped altogether.
Ah, finally, the voice of reason. But if you'll notice in this original CNN clip, this kid was highly edited. I'll leave the link to their full version in the description.
Even if someone is trained, just like Officer Peterson was at my school, there's no way that you could possibly simulate an event like this. There's no possible way to practice or do an active shooter drill. He went in there with high-capacity magazines, a semi-automatic weapon, and killed 17 of my classmates in 6 minutes. Don't tell me that a handgun could have stopped that.
This is where the CNN host could have said, well, an officer with a handgun did stop a shooting in Maryland recently. It would have stopped this girl's statement dead in its tracks. And I've heard people say this a lot. They say a guy with a handgun is no match for a guy with an AR-15. Look, a flying bullet is a flying bullet. Doesn't matter if it's launched from the barrel of a Glock or an AR-15. The first person to get hit in a critical area is going down.
Hard to explain how dangerous it feels when I walk into my school. It doesn't matter that there are policemen there. There's no possible way to protect it. Why don't we just cut it off at the source and take away these semi-automatic weapons?
Who in their right mind looks at a crime and says, hey, that guy used a knife, or he used a gun, or a car? So logically what we must do is remove all of these things from the rest of society, as if the source of the crime was the inanimate object itself. This is such obvious foolishness. And mainstream media keeps exacerbating it.
Let's talk about that. Let's go around for solutions and what you each would suggest for solutions.
First, a ban on assault rifles altogether, raising the age that you can apply to get a gun, more comprehensive background checks, and mental health screenings.
We need to start by banning these weapons of war, and no civilian should have them.
So who should have them? Well, these people contend that they should only be in the hands of the military or the police. Yeah, governments have killed over 250 million of their own people in the last century alone, but let's hand our guns over to the government anyway. If your solution to every problem is government, then you're asking very stupid questions.
And what about the argument that you'll hear from people who say, if you ban semi-automatic weapons, then only the criminals will have them?
Does that mean we shouldn't try?
Yeah, it means we shouldn't try. We don't need to try to ensure that only criminals have guns while we disarm ourselves. I'll tell you what, you people who think like this, carve out an area for yourselves somewhere, let everybody know that you're disarmed, and check back with us in about 10 or 20 years and let us know how everything worked out for you. Now, I'm just going to leave you with the only voice of reason in this individual rights trampling CNN segment.
How will we defend ourselves if you take that right away? And that's what the left is trying to do.
We're human beings first, right? Our lives matter before political parties.
I agree.
And you don't know any of our political affiliations.
You don't know any of our
You don't know any of our
affiliations.
You don't know that.
And I think, well, I'm not attacking you guys personally. I'm attacking the ones that seem to be backing this whole movement. My solution for gun violence is allowing people to have guns. The more people that are armed, the less shootings there will be. Have you ever seen a gun show get shot up? No, you haven't seen that. Why? Because the guy's going to get shot. The guns are the solution, not the problem. Why are you telling everyone out there in America that you can't own a gun for your protection? You know, I'm in fear walking around that shooter can have.
It doesn't need to be for protection.
It's not a good gun for hunting either.
Why are you telling me
for hunting, for sport? For
It's not an efficient hunting
It's not
gun.
necessary.
My life is more important than a gun that's used to hunt.
Jacob, is there anything you're willing to compromise on in terms of guns?
The issue here is the politicians on the left are trying to take away the gun rights one by one. It will start with assault rifles, and then it will continue until they take every arm in America away from the people.
I understand. So you're pretty dug in on your side. You don't see a common ground. You're not going to be able to find common ground.
I don't think it's good to compromise your rights.
Even though he uses the bogus assault weapons terminology, Jacob here has the right idea. Individual rights are something you should never compromise. Why? Because a right given up by one person is taken by another. There are always two sides to every trade. By giving up your rights, you're handing control over to another person. And historically, that never ends well. Guys, if you enjoy this content, take a second and hit the subscribe and notification button for all my daily uploads. Guys, thanks for watching my video. Today's featured kick-ass shirts are "Gun use saves more lives," "This is not a gun-free zone," "Shall not be infringed," and "March for our lies." The shirt link is in the description. If you enjoy this content, hit that subscribe and notification button for my daily uploads. Give this video a like and share it everywhere on social media. I have a lot more interviews coming up, so stay tuned. I'll see you guys in my next heavily censored, demonetized video.